Imagine sending your child to school, trusting they're safe only to discover a terrifying secret hiding in plain sight. For one mom, that nightmare became real when she strapped a tiny camera to her blind daughter's guide dog, hoping to catch a glimpse of her day. What she saw in the footage, though, was anything but ordinary. This is the shocking story of a mother's instinct, a loyal service animal, and the chilling moments that forced her to dial 911 in panic. Sarah had always relied on Max, her daughter, Emily's devoted guide dog, to keep her safe. But when Emily started coming home anxious and withdrawn, Sarah's gut told her something was wrong. With no way to see the world through her daughter's eyes, she made a bold move, attaching a small camera to Max's harness. The footage started normally: hallways, classmates, teachers. Then the unthinkable: a shadowy figure, hushed whispers, and a moment so unsettling Sarah's blood ran cold. What did the camera capture? Who was lurking where Emily should have been safest? The answers would send shockwaves through their quiet town, but not before Sarah faced every parent's worst fear. The clock was ticking, and what happened next would change everything. Sarah had always known Emily's school as a place of laughter and learning, until now. Emily, who had been blind since birth, was a bright and resilient little girl, but lately she'd been coming home tense and withdrawn. At first, Sarah thought it was just the usual struggles of being a kid, maybe a tough math test or a disagreement with a friend. But then, Emily started refusing to let Max out of her sight, clinging to him even at home. That's when Sarah knew something deeper was wrong. Max wasn't just a guide dog. He was Emily's protector, her best friend. He had been trained to sense danger, to stay calm in chaos, but the way he'd been acting lately was different. His ears would perk up at certain voices, his body stiffening in a way Sarah had never seen before. That's why she decided to clip a small, discreet camera to his vest, just to see what was really happening when she wasn't there. The first few hours of footage were normal: Max leading Emily through the halls, stopping at her locker, settling by her desk. But then, in the background, a figure lingered too long near Emily's classroom: a teacher, a stranger. The camera only caught glimpses: a hand resting on Emily's shoulder, a whispered conversation just out of earshot. And then, the most chilling part: Max's low growl, sounds Sarah had never heard him make before. Her hands shook as she rewound the clip, zooming in on the blurred face in the corner of the frame. Who was this person? And why did Max, the gentlest, most disciplined dog, see them as a threat? Sarah's mind raced with possibilities, none of them good. She knew one thing for sure: she couldn't wait to find out what happened next. She had to act now. Sarah's fingers trembled as she replayed the footage again, pausing on the shadowy figure hovering near Emily. The way they leaned in too close, the way Emily instinctively pulled back, it sent a cold wave of dread through her. She had always trusted the school to keep her daughter safe, but now that trust was crumbling. The next morning, Sarah decided to dig deeper. She called the school, pretending to ask about Emily's progress, but really listening for any hesitation in the secretary's voice. Was she imagining it, or did the woman sound nervous when Sarah mentioned Emily's classroom? Meanwhile, Max's behavior at home grew more unusual. He refused to leave Emily's side, even nudging her away from certain spots in the house, as if sensing danger where there shouldn't be any. Emily, usually so open with her mom, clammed up whenever Sarah asked about school. "Everything's fine," she'd say, but her fingers would tighten around Max's harness in a way that told Sarah it wasn. Single quotes tie. Then came the second video, this one even more disturbing. A voice, muffled but sharp, saying, "Don't tell anyone. Or else." The camera only caught a sliver of the Cena hand gripping Emily's wrist too tight before Max stepped between them, his warning growl cutting through the audio. Sarah's heart pounded. Someone was threatening her little girl. But who? And why? She knew she had to act fast, but going to the school directly could backfire. What if the person behind this was someone in charge? What if they retaliated against Emily? Sarah's mind raced as she weighed her options. One thing was clear. She couldn't do this alone. But who could she trust? The clock was ticking, and every second she waited put Emily in more danger. Sarah knew she was running out of time. The next morning, she slipped a voice recorder into Emily's backpack, her hands shaking as she kissed her daughter goodbye. Every instinct screamed at her to keep Emily home, but she needed proof, something undeniable, to take to the police. The hours dragged by like torture, each minute stretching longer than the last. When Emily finally returned, Sarah rushed to check the recorder, her stomach twisting when she heard it's the same chilling voice from the footage, now crystal clear. "You think that dog can protect you? He's just an animal." Then a thud, Emily's sharp gasp, and Max's furious barking. That night, Sarah barely slept, watching the clock tick toward morning. She had to do something drastic. The next day, she waited outside the school, hidden in her car with the camera rolling. Through the lens, she saw him, Mr. Carter, the after-school aide. He was always so friendly, so helpful. But now, as he pulled Emily aside near the empty playground, his smile looked wrong. Too wide, too forced. Max's ears flattened, his body rigid as he positioned himself between them. Sarah's breath caught as Mr. Carter reached into his pocket. Was that a treat? A threat? The camera couldn't quite capture it. Then, the unthinkable. He yanked Emily's arm, his voice a venomous whisper. Max lunged, not to attack, but to shield her just as a teacher rounded the corner. Mr. Carter instantly dropped his grip, his face smoothing into a mask of concern. "Just helping her with her bag," he called cheerfully. But Sarah had seen enough. Her phone was already in her hand. 911 dialed and ready. One tap, and her world and Mr. Carter's would explode. But what if no one believed her? What if he had time to cover his tracks? The cursor hovered over the call button as her vision blurred with tears. This wasn't just about evidence anymore. It was about saving her daughter before it was too late. Sarah's finger hovered over the call button, her pulse roaring in her ears until a sharp knock at her car window made her jump. It was Mrs. Wilkins, Emily's homeroom teacher, her face pale under the afternoon sun. "I've been trying to catch you," she whispered urgently, glancing over her shoulder. "We need to talk somewhere private." Sarah's stomach dropped. Was this a trap? Or had someone else noticed something wrong? Minutes later, in a quiet corner of the nearby park, Mrs. Wilkins dropped a bombshell. "You're not the only one who's seen Mr. Carter acting strangely," she confessed, pulling out her phone. The video showed him slipping something into another. Student's backpacker, student hood transferred schools abruptly last month. "I thought it was odd, but when I saw how Max reacts to him, ... Her voice trailed off as she played another clip. Mr. Carter kneeling beside Emily, his hand lingering too long near her face while Max growled low in his throat. Sarah's blood ran cold. This wasn't just about her daughter anymore. There might be other victims. But before she could respond, her phone buzzed with a notification. The school security app showed Emily's classroom. ... empty. Her breath hitched. Emily should have been in music class by now. Mrs. Wilkins frowned at her own phone. That's Impossible Music was canceled today. The teacher called in sick. A new message popped up on Sarah's screen, an unknown number. A photo of Max's abandoned harness in the janitor's closet. Then 3 words that turned her bones to ice. Asterisk, "Come alone, Mom." Asterisk. Somewhere in that school, Emily was alone with him, and Max. Where was Max? The loyal guide dog would never willingly leave her side, unless... Sarah couldn't finish the thought. She sprinted toward the building, Mrs. Wilkins shouting after her. Every second counted now. But what she didn't know was that Mr. Carter wasn't working alone, and the real danger was closer than she ever imagined. Sarah burst through the school doors, her heart pounding as she followed the last known location from Emily's tracking bracelet, the one she'd secretly sewn into her daughter's shoe. The hallway was eerily quiet, the only sound her own frantic footsteps echoing off the lockers. Then she heard a muffled whimper coming from the gym's storage room. She threw the door open, and the scene before her made her blood run cold. Mr. Carter had Emily cornered, his grip tight on her wrist as he whispered something threatening. But Maxwell was Max. Before Sarah could react, a blur of fur launched from behind a stack of mats. Max, usually so calm and disciplined, lunged at Mr. Carter with a snarl, knocking him to the ground. The man scrambled back, his face twisted in fear, just as police sirens wailed outside. Mrs. Wilkins had called 911 after all. As officers rushed in, Sarah pulled Emily into her arms, shaking with relief. But then, one of the cops pulled something from Mr. Carter's pocketa, small vial of pills. These are the same ones we've been tracking in missing kids cases, the officer said grimly. Mr. Carter wasn't just a predator, he was part of something bigger. The final twist came when the principal, rushing in with the police, paled. At the sight of the vial, I had no idea, he stammered, but the way his eyes darted toward the exit told a different story. The cops exchanged a look. This wasn't over, as Sarah carried Emily to safety, Max trotting loyally beside them. She reappeared